I'm speaking with Nilah Magruder, who has just such an amazing body of work. And I'm going to just pan over here for a second. This is M.F.K. A lot of you will know right away about M.F.K, the webcomic, and now the ongoing graphic novel series with Insight Comics. And I wanted to just basically talk a bit about, however much you like to talk about diversity in comics, since you won the Wayne McDuffie Award for Diversity in Comics, and your work it's immersed in the issues of diversity and bringing voice to people who may not have had a voice in the past. I'll let you jump. It's a very broad, goofy question, but how would you address, to people that don't know about your work, how would you address how you tackle the issues of diversity?
Well, first and foremost, I'm always writing for the girl I was growing up, and I'm writing the kind of stories that I wish I'd seen as, you know, a young black girl living in a predominantly white community, where our textbooks, our library books, you know, books in bookstores really didn't have very much inclusiveness. They all kind of told, you know, the same story from one narrative. So my focus is always, you know, writing for those brown kids that maybe don't see themselves as heroes that often, that maybe don't see themselves as the center of the story. That's hugely important to me and just informs everything I do.
And just before I started the video, I wanted to touch upon you being the first African-American woman to write a Marvel story.
Yeah, that was a great experience. Yeah, it was a Rocket Raccoon and Tippy Toe Squirrel team up, which was a ridiculous concept. When they first pitched it to me, I was like, yes, I am the perfect person for this story. So it was an honor to get that opportunity and write just a really fun story about some characters that I loved.
And I know there's so many young people that are struggling trying to figure out what they'd like to do in comics or illustration or art. Could you talk a little bit about the realities of it? You have an awesome job as a storyboard artist. Could you talk a little bit about that?
So I also work in animation. I work as a storyboard artist. My last job was on Tangled the series, which is at Disney Television Animation. Comics, animation, they're both very demanding, very difficult industries because they're so competitive. And you really have to it's got to be kind of a perfect storm of having the right skills and being in the right place at the right time. When I first started out, the advice that I got was you have to have stamina. You know, at times it's really about success in this industry is really about being the last person standing. It's whoever can hold on the longest. It can be a struggle, you know, sometimes the money isn't there, sometimes the support isn't there, but what really drives you sometimes is the passion. You've got to have that passion for it because there are going to be times when that's all you have to feed you. So my recommendation to anyone who wants to get into any of these industries is love what you're doing and just keep at it.
And I wanted to touch upon the children's book market, since you had your hand in that, and with How to Find a Fox from First Second, which is the reason that I'm here. I'm courtesy of First Second. So tell me a little bit about, maybe give us like a window into doing a children's book.
So what I love about children's books is it's another form of sequential art, so it relates kind of to my work in animation and also in comics. Basically, my path with How to Find a Fox was first I wrote the story, and that took, you know, it took a few months to really come up with the right manuscript. Then I produced what's called a picture book dummy, and it's like kind of a sketch mock-up version of the final book. It's what you submit to agents and then editors as a proof of concept to show them this is how the book will look or could look. With this picture book dummy, I was able to get an agent and we shopped it around to publishers, and Macmillan bought it. And so from there, I worked with my editor at Macmillan to create the final text, the final art, and then they took it from there. They made the final book.
And I wanted to quickly touch upon M.F.K, of course. You have Inside Comics, and you have the very first original graphic novel with them.
Yes.
And so can you give us like a little observation on how awesome that is? Or?
It's pretty cool. M.F.K started as a webcomic. It was just something I worked on in my spare time. And to see it now, to go from, that very personal idea I had to a book that I'm selling at conventions that's in bookstores, it's really exciting.
And a bit of advice from the grave is Charles Beaumont. He's an amazing science fiction writer. He said, always keep your hand in different things, keep them guessing. And you certainly do that. Just Out is the All Out Anthology, and you have a short story there.
Yes.
Would you want to say something about this book with Teen Harlequin?
Sure. So my story in the All Out Anthology is And They Don't Kiss at the End. And it's about a teenage girl living in the 1970s who's really into roller skating, and she's navigating her first crush. The whole anthology is fictional queer stories throughout history. So most stories take place before the year 2000, and for a lot of us, writing our stories was about writing that one story that we wish we had when we were teenagers, and that's what my story is for me.
And I wanted to just touch a little bit on Creaky Acres. That's coming up in the spring of 2019.
Yes. Yeah, Creaky Acres is going to be published by Penguin, and it's a middle grade graphic novel about horseback riding.
Okay, that's a good teaser. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.